Okay, well, welcome back to Hailsham Station. Thanks for watching if you have watched the previous episode of this, and if you'd like to see more, then don't forget to press the subscribe button. So we have the track laid as well, as you're about to see. So first of all, we need to bring the traverser across and pop it into place. There we go. We'll just make sure the bolt's out of the loco's way. Right, here Leadenhall with the Stroudley coaches from Hornby leading its way in. And it's working its way down into the platform road. And in the distance there, you can see a rake of Dingo mounts, complete with their servos fitted. So this train draws into the station, and at the moment I can't run round because I haven't got the servo set, and I still haven't got the gauge master controller. Still waiting for that to come from China or wherever. Here we see the PECO code 75 bullhead rail with the large radius points. I discovered that actually the station can have a crossover at this period I'm modelling it. Just under the loco there but I've had to use two flat bottom small radius points because PECO haven't yet made the small radius in bullhead. Please take note, PECO, thank you. And then down here we've got that track was all supplied by Alan and Alison over at Compass Miniature Railways in Rotherfield in Sussex, here in Sussex. And then we have the set of Dingo mounts all made up, and we'll have a quick look at how they were made. Okay, so we're going to make up a Dingo Servo Mount Micro 10 version 2. And I've got all the bits laid out here, as you can see. I invested in one of the bending blocks and mounted on a piece of wood as Dave suggests, and then I've actually got it clamped to the workbench so it's nice and firm and easy to use. So we start with the main frame, which pops in the centre slot. Now I use a wooden block actually, just to even the pressure on the bend. We bend it over like that, and that also gives you that extra bit of oomph. Just check that it's square, and that's the first time this time. And then we bend the wings, and I always have to think twice before I do this. That's it, that goes, nope, I'll get it right in a minute. There we go. No, still got it wrong. There we are. That's the way. And then again I use the piece of wood just to push it over, and you don't push it over quite to the right angle to make it easier to put this piece in afterwards. And then that goes over in the back one. There we are. And we push that over like that. You have to get it right first time, because as Dave says, the aluminium doesn't like being bent twice. So we've got the main frame bent up. As you see, it's slightly less than 90 degrees on those two. And we put that to one side. While I'm at it, I usually take this piece, which is the actuator, and I bend that while I'm at it. It needs these three sets of holes here to the left. I did do one to the right, as you can see there, but that, as I'll explain later, will be quite useful. So we pop that in down to the slot. It doesn't need to go all the way down, and just gently bend that over. There we are. Again, that's pretty nearly the right angle. Just give it an extra nudge. And while I'm at it, I actually put these little screws in because I find it easier to do it than when it's mounted on the machine, on the rest of the unit. And they are quite fiddly, so I should probably cut away and come back when I've finished. and that's what usually happens. It ends up on the floor. So there we are, that's the third one in. I don't put the wire in yet, we do that later. Next thing is the servo motor. The cable bit goes down towards the foot and it comes through from the back like that. No, it doesn't. It goes that way. I've done it several times before, and then we have these shorter of these little machine screws, and I find it usually easier to use the tweezers to get them in place, and screw that in like that. Not quite tight because it can go a bit off center. I just fold the wire back out of the way like that, and we have somewhere here the other short screw. There we go. And that's very definitely necessary to use the tweezers because it's quite tight in that space, and that's why I hold the wires away so I can actually get the screwdriver down in there. And I purchased one of these servo testers, set it to the set it to the midway position on the controller, pop it on, check that the servo operates, although you can hear that, put it back to the middle, then go to the second position, which is the centering thing, and take it off, out of the way for the moment. We then get the single servo arm out of the pack that came with the servo, and we pop that on. Doesn't always go exactly centre, but that's okay. And then this tiny little black screw here. I know Dave says in the instructions that they are very difficult to get hold of. The nearest I could see, but they were slightly longer, were the screws that held audio cassettes together. Remember audio cassettes? I still use them occasionally. There we are. And then we just pop it back on the tester to recenter it, because I've pushed it off slightly. There we are, that's in the centre. Now we can put this piece in. Again, I'll wait till... Now, as he says, you can sometimes, or what you do need to do is just check for any rough bits and just give them a quick go with the file. I find it's actually, I think, where the laser comes out of the aluminium than when it goes in. And what I do is I actually just pop it in the slot from the outside to make sure it goes to and fro, and turn it round, do the same with that one, and then also that side, both ways round. Yep, that's fine. So now it goes in like that, across and down and in like that. Now I find this is one of the trickiest bits to do without actually bending these bits down here, is you grip it with it and push it in just over 90 degrees, and do the same for the other side. Yep, that's, so that should slide to and fro. Yeah, it wants a little bit more because otherwise it can jump out. Yeah, that one wants just a little bit there as well. So it's a case of gripping right down there with the side you don't want to move, and then getting your thumbs on the other. Alright, I think that's got it. We then put in this long thin screw. You can see it very easily there, but It's a self-tapper. Right, so there we are. We've got that screw in there, and I screw it through just so the point starts emerging from the other side of the nylon arm. Now, having done that, we want to just check that it all works before we go any further, so we pop this back on here. It's in centering mode at the moment, and it must be on center, so we just click through to the, there we are, and we can see it moving to and fro, and it's all moving quite nicely, so that's good. So we pop that out of the way. That is pretty much it. I just need to put in the actuating wire, which we'll just take down there so it's not sticking out too far at the moment, and just lightly tighten it up, because obviously that won't get properly done till it's fixed to the layout. I've left the micro switches off at the moment because until I go to install them, I'm not quite sure which side, and I probably only need the one at the moment unless I do any panel indications, but as I'm doing DCC, that's pretty unlikely. So there we are, one dingo mount done. As I said earlier, I did put one the wrong way round. Well, that would be quite useful because I've got 2 points quite closely adjacent to each other, so if I put them like that, then they can come a bit closer and just make sure those things pass each other, and we should be alright, I think. There we go. And we also have here the marking for the station building, and just under next to it there where the loco shed was, and over beyond the loco the goods shed.